Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
Nirvishesh Shunyavad, Buddhists become nothing. The solution is to become nothing. Now we are something, therefore we are suffering. Then we will become nothing. No. You become more something. Don't become nirvishesh without qualities, become vishesh. Become full of all transcendental qualities, attain our transcendental position, go back home, back to Godhead, and dance with Krishna. There's no happiness dancing in this material world. Dancing in 84 lakh species of life. Dancing boogie dance, disco dance, different kinds of dance. Dance with Krishna, then we will be happy. That is the positive side. The material world is useless, but the spiritual world, back home, back to Godhead, that is our goal of life. Hare Krishna. Any question? Please. Anyone wants to enjoy this material world? Please go. Enjoy to your full extent. When you've been kicked another few million lifetimes, then you come back here. But then the chance may not be there. Now there's the chance. Sankirtan movement. Chant Hare Krishna, go back home, back to Godhead. Another time there may not be the chance. Any question? Please. In the purport, Prabhupada says, it says there is no sex life, but even if it sometimes does occur, there is no pregnancy at all. So as far as the spiritual world is concerned, Prabhupada used to say, you go there and find out. Now you can't understand. But don't think I'll go there and have sex. Then you won't go there. Then you'll get stuck in the heavenly planets. If you're lucky. More luck. Otherwise you'll get stuck in a dog body, a hog body. Any other question? So you can, if you're so much foolish, you have the opportunity. We're simply giving information that this repeated birth and death is not good. If you're so foolish that you think it is good, then you can enjoy. But your childhood won't only be human. Then you'll have dog child, you'll be a puppy and a kitten and so many different. You become a tree, duck, so many different species of it. In your childhood you may be taken for slaughter. Those who are killing animals, they like the flesh of young animals, very soft. Any other question? Please. Everything is sense enjoyment, but devotee, he engages his senses in the service of Krishna. He's interested in Krishna's sense enjoyment, not personal sense enjoyment. So there's a difference. Just like you can say, yes, chanting Hare Krishna is also sense enjoyment. We also enjoy chanting and dancing, but that is of a different quality to the personal sense enjoyment. Personal sense enjoyment is a very crippled mentality by which we think, let me enjoy, and to hell with anybody else. My sense enjoyment, that is important. But actually one cannot be happy by this, because he's denying his real position as the servant of Krishna. Every living being is meant to engage in activities for increasing Krishna's sense enjoyment. You may think that Krishna is very selfish. Even if you like to think like that, you can, but you can't avoid it, because Krishna is the supreme transcendental aristocrat. He is God. Everyone is meant to engage in his service. But engaging in his service doesn't mean that we become unhappy. It's not like if you go to work in a factory and you simply work for the benefit of the boss and there's no happiness. The only happiness is getting your pay at the end of the week. But by engaging in Krishna's transcendental service, because Krishna is full of transcendental bliss, and by serving him, we also become blissful. So when we're chanting Hare Krishna, we don't actually think how I will be happy. We think how by this chanting and dancing, Krishna will be happy. And automatically we become happy. So there's a difference in the attitude. Otherwise, taking prasadam, that's also sense enjoyment. But if we take it, let me enjoy. I will cook so many things and stick it in front of the deities, and then they did their job, now I'll take it. Then we won't be happy by such an attitude. But if we cook so many nice things for Krishna, thinking how Krishna will enjoy, and then we distribute to all the devotees, we'll be so satisfied by seeing the other devotees take nice Krishna prasad, and then when we take, we'll be fully satisfied. Full satisfaction doesn't come from the interaction of the senses with their object, but full satisfaction comes by seeing Krishna happy and by seeing others happy in Krishna's service. So we can know what is personal sense enjoyment and what is Krishna consciousness by our own attitude. If we're sincerely doing something for Krishna's service, it's not that we're denying happiness. We're not telling people that don't be happy. No, we're saying be happy, but don't try to be happy by sense enjoyment. Be happy by serving Krishna. We're not saying don't be happy, not like that. We're not saying there's anything wrong with being happy, but we're saying that there's no happiness in sense enjoyment. There is happiness only in serving Krishna. Is that clear? That's not harmful, but we should enjoy thinking that seeing everything, this is an expansion of Krishna's energy. Definitely the woods is better than the noisy, dirty, smelly city. That is in the mode of goodness, comparatively compared to the city. But devotee, he's not going to take the wood instead of the city if in the wood there's no opportunity to serve Krishna. That's why we have these centers in the city. We have so many centers, just like in London, we have our center in the worst part of the city, and it's really horrible. It's polluted with the fumes, and it's polluted by all the vibrations of the people who are in a mode of very demoniac sense gratification. But our center is there because that is the best place to preach Krishna consciousness, because there are so many people there. So we're there for serving Krishna. So we can also go to the woods and the jungles, and that is very nice, but for serving Krishna, we have to go to the horrible place also. So, intrinsically, we don't like to be in such a nasty place. Naturally, a devotee prefers to be in a place where there are flowers and trees and parks and gardens, which they don't put such a nasty vibration. They don't give such a strong demoniac vibration. So, for our own self, we may prefer to be in such a place, but for preaching or for serving Krishna, we have to go wherever we have to go. But even in such a nice situation, relatively nice situation, parks and gardens and trees and all this, we have to chant Hare Krishna, and remembering that all this is the creation of Krishna, and that if I become attached to it, that is also a cause of bondage. If we become attached to the trees and the parks and the gardens, then we have to come back again to this material world, suffering birth, death, old age and disease. So, when we're chanting in the parks and the gardens, we should be more attentive to the chanting of the holy names than to the trees and the flowers and the fruits. And knowing that even if we like trees and flowers and fruits, we will not be bereft of such things. We'll go back home, back to the spiritual world, and we'll be serving Krishna, dancing with Krishna in the woods. So better, don't be so much attached to the woods. You'll get the woods. Back home, back to Godhead. It may be, but Prabhupada, he wasn't very optimistic about such a program, to tell you the truth. I know you have a rock band in this temple, but Srila Prabhupada he didn't like rock music in Krishna consciousness even, to tell you the truth. He did allow, just like we have this Govindam album, which is using modern instruments, and he did allow that Mangalananda's album, Change of Heart, although he wasn't particularly enthusiastic about it, but he allowed him to do it. But when devotees, they made some rock opera, heavy music, the words were things like, "You're not this body," but it was ba-bam, ba-bam. Prabhupada stopped it. He said, "This is demoniac." So, the problem is, I see many devotees, it's like, they want to do rock and roll music for preaching, but they get caught. They get caught in the music, because that rock and roll music, after all that was produced, Prabhupada said that these rock musicians, they've come from the lower planets to drag people down. So, you heard that before? So that vibration by its nature is demoniac. You can put words like "you're not this body" to it, but the very nature, music, sound affects our consciousness. That's why we chant Hare Krishna. That sound is supposed to purify us. And we have Vedic music also, and we have Gauriya Kirtan, which the very sound of it invokes devotion. Whereas the sound of rock music, it disturbs the mind. That rock music was born of sex, violence, drugs, it's all part of the same culture. So, anyway, different people may say differently. You may say people like it, that's true, but it's also true that Prabhupada spread Krishna consciousness all over the world with Hare Krishna Mahamantra and Mridanga and Kartals. And that if we do that, still we'll find many people who are attracted. It's not that people hate Mridangas and Kartals. In fact, many people, they like that more because they've seen so many rock groups and this is something different. And they like to chant and dance with us. Hare Krishna. Any other question? You can put Mahamantra to the sound of a steel crushing machine also if you want. I mean, it's also possible, but really, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Prabhupada sung like very simple, but it's so attractive. So you can do, there's no objection, but especially this very heavy sound, it's actually produced of a very demoniac consciousness. So people who are attracted to such music, they're a long way from Krishna consciousness anyway. So, or even they may like, but better to give them a higher taste. Better give them something better. There's no objection if you use those instruments for chanting Hare Krishna, but this very heavy music, that's with heavy bass, and we should be cautious of that. Same time, even we use modern instruments, we have to see, is it really necessary or not? Because like I said, Prabhupada spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. During the hippie times, when music, all these things was new, and it was for the hippies, it was all a very amazing thing. But he spread it with Mridanga and Kartals. So if we can bring people to Krishna consciousness with Mridanga and Kartals and Prasadam, and Bhagavad Gita as it is, then is it really necessary that we do this? Then we have to see. Then we have to ask. In other words, are we really doing it for preaching, or are we dovetailing it for preaching, or are we simply dovetailing our own material desire? That we have to see. We have to be careful. So, any other questions? Hare Krishna. Jai Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada.